Hi everyone, story time with Nana, and tonight's story is from the Animal Stories book, and it's called The Old Toad and the Spider. So, if you're sitting comfortably, Nana will begin. There was once a sly old toad who lived in a damp ditch at the bottom of a large garden. Each spring he crawled out to the nearby pond to play with the other toads there. When he was tired of that, he went back to his ditch to wait for flies and caterpillars to come along for his dinner. Num num num. One summer his ditch dried up and the toad felt hot and uncomfortable, so he left the ditch and crawled through the hedge. Soon he came to an orchard where the leaves of the trees threw a thick green shade. The grass below was long and wet. The toad liked it. It felt cool to his brown back and he liked the wetness. He sat beneath an apple tree and waited for flies. There are plenty in this orchard, said the toad to himself. I shall grow fat and comfortable. Now just above him lived a spider. She was old and big and cunning. She had spun more webs than she could remember, and she had caught thousands of flies. She was not pleased when she saw the toad. The tiresome old creature, she said to herself. This is the best place in the whole orchard for flies, and that is why I've made my web here. This is my place, not his. So she spoke to the old toad from her place in the middle of the web. Toad, you must find another hunting ground. I have spun my web here every summer for years. The toad blinked up at her with his beautiful coppery eyes. I shall stay here, he said. There are flies enough for both. The spider watched him. A large bluebottle came by and the toad sat as still as a stone. The bluebottle settled on the grass at the edge of the spider's web. But before the spider could dart in to get it, the toad shot out his long sticky tongue, hit the fly with the end of it, and drew it quickly into his mouth. He swallowed, blinked, and the fly was gone. Very nice, said the toad. Much better than going to the trouble of making a web. My tongue is fastened to the front of my mouth instead of to the back, so I can fling it out a long way. That was the most tasty bluebottle spider. The spider was very angry. She saw the toad catch fly after fly with his quick tongue, and only a few of the smaller ones came into her web. Then came 2 or 3 wet days, and no flies were about. The toad grew very hungry. The spider saw that he was thinner, and she spoke to him. Toad, do you like the water? From where I swing in my web I can see the pond, and there are all kinds of flies hovering over the surface. Why do you not go and catch a few until the weather becomes warm again? The toad knew that many flies hovered over the pond in the summer. He thought about it, then slowly he crawled away to the pond. The spider was delighted. She knew something that the toad did not know. She knew that the white ducks came to the pond every day for a swim. They will eat the toad, she said. That will be the end of him. Then I shall be able to catch all the orchard flies myself. The toad came to the pond. He went in with a flop. He swam about gracefully, enjoying the water. The spider had spoken truthfully, for there were a great many flies skimming the top of the water, and the toad ate as many as he wanted. It was friendly of the spider to tell me, he thought, but he quite changed his mind when midday came, for then the 8 white ducks came too, quacking and waddling, longing for their swim. They flopped into the water and paddled their legs so that they swam about. Some of them put their heads down to see what they could find below the surface. The toad was most alarmed. He swam quickly to a rock he knew and squeezed himself underneath it, but a duck had seen him and came probing under the rock with her beak. The toad only just got out the other side in time. He swam to the side of the pond and crawled into a mass of rushes, but when the ducks came waddling around the side, he had to jump into the water again and swim all the way across the pond in a great hurry. He crawled out very tired. He was angry with the spider, very angry indeed. He knew she played a trick on him. He made his way back to the orchard, meaning to break her web and eat her. But the spider was watching for him. She curled herself up with her 8 legs beneath her and lay as if she were dead under a piece of loose bark near her web. The toad lumbered up, his copper eyes gleaming. He put up a paw and broke the lovely web. Then he looked for the spider. When he found her lying on her back looking as dead as could be, he gave a croak. Dead? Ha! And good thing too. Serve her right for playing me such a trick. Well, I don't eat dead spiders, so I'll leave her here for the field mice to eat. And he went to find himself a good stone to crawl beneath, because the nights were growing a little chilly, and he knew that soon the time would come when he must sleep for the winter. He must have a good stone then, or he might be found and eaten by some hungry animal. As soon as he was gone, the spider came alive again, and in the quick way that spiders have, her legs straightened out, and she stood the right way up, her big eyes looking round, and she saw the toad crawling under the stone. She ran over to it. Above were twigs, and quickly the spider wove a big web just above the stone. So when the toad crawled out into the sun to catch a few autumn flies, he found the spider in the middle of a big web just above him. But you were dead, he croaked in surprise and dismay. Not really, said the spider as she swung to and fro on her web. Not really. And now the cold days are coming when the toad and the spider will sleep. You will find the spider crouching as if she were dead behind a loose piece of bark, and the toad will be asleep under his stone. Don't disturb them, for they are good friends of ours, and in the spring they will wake again and try their tricks on one another. Who do you suppose will win? I think it will be the spider. But they both want to eat flies, don't they? So it's a shame they can't really help each other, isn't it? Anyway, that's the story of the old toad and the spider, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back again tomorrow with another story. So sleep tight, and I love you loads and loads and loads. I love you, Atty, and I love you, Torby, and I love you, Ruby, and I love you, Max. You'd be really, really good, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Night, night.